Ladies, if you are menopausal as fuck, insulin resistance is fucking up your fat loss, this is what's going on, and this is exactly what to do. And before I get into all that, there's a quick story. I talked to a lot of women. Like 30 booked calls a week. I'm talking to different women. More than half are in menopause or going through it or perimenopause, whatever. And it's really interesting the psychological impact of menopause, because a lot of you women out there that are in menopause just feel like you're going fucking nuts because Western medicine and your doctor made you feel like you're absolutely insane, and maybe they even put you even worse on some like antidepressant, anti-anxiety, all this other shit. Cause they're like, okay, like this woman's crazy, but it's not. It's not you. That's crazy. You're not. You're a normal human being, normal woman, just going through menopause, and shit happens with this an array of the shitstorm from the hormonal changes that is going on with your body and the effect that it has mentally on you. And someone asked me the other day, like, why do you work with so many menopausal women? And I was just like, we just kind of fell into it. Just the doctor eye roll that you've been getting based on all these symptoms you're feeling, and they're just shoving HRT and down your throat and anti-anxiety, antidepressants, and it's just a failure in modern medicine. That's the one reason that I fell into this. I'm passionate about it. I like it. It's very, very interesting, but it's like, I heard a woman speak on it. The training for medical school on menopause is like a half day, like, which is fucking insane. That is that little, but it's just an underserved, it's just a completely overlooked community that really needs help. And I'm like, it's not that hard. Like once you kind of like learn the science and understand it and read the research and all this, and it's really not that hard to help this population. We've helped so many women like this, so it's cool. It's always so fun because they're like going and feeling like they're fucking insane, like everything's breaking down, to the opposite side of it, like they lost all this weight, they feel fucking awesome. My head coach Amber, she calls it her menopausal mamas, because she just like has so many menopause clients that just kill it, and they just like completely transform their mindset and their life, which is great. But insulin resistance. So just to kind of bastardize it, it's when your body basically consumes carbohydrates, stored as fat instead of energy. Your fat metabolism switch kind of gets turned off, not all the way, but pretty much. Belly fat storage starts to occur, and just an array of shit. Like you become like a fat gaining machine. So it just makes it very hard to lose fat and very easy to gain fat. Now, the primary reason for this, there's about 5 of them, but the primary one is the estrogen drop. The estrogen drop, what happens there is does increase insulin resistance, which, yeah, that's directly from it, because your body needs more insulin, and that increases the fat storage. The other things that are happening is when your progesterone goes down, your cortisol becomes very hard to regulate. I've talked about this in past reels I've done and these podcasts and YouTubes. But basically what's happening is because your progesterone is going so low, progesterone, they call it nature's sleep aid because it relaxes you and chills you out and helps you get into more of a parasympathetic rest and digest autonomic nervous system response. Now, because of that, your cortisol becomes extremely hard to regulate because you don't have anything taking you out of that fight or flight, right? So you either get chronic highs, you get even worse, high and low cortisol, which is basically like you're just, high cortisol, super stress hormone, just getting flooded. And then low cortisol is like where you feel burnout. And that could be within the day too. But it's typically like on the week, like you go through high cortisol for a couple weeks and then you just crash and burn. Like you can't get motivated to get out of bed. So that's kind of also another factor is the cortisol, the sleep, right? You're not sleeping as well from the progesterone. night sweats, interrupted sleep, just not quality sleep whatsoever, to that's going to worsen your blood sugar massively. And it's also going to affect your cortisol as well. So you got that. Now, the other thing is happening when you're in menopause, you're becoming more catabolic, right? You're breaking down muscle faster than you're building it, extremely fast rate. And that's why bone density goes down so much. But because you're losing so much muscle, you become more insulin resistant. The more muscle you have, the more insulin sensitive you become. The less muscle you have, the more insulin resistant you become. So the last part, I almost missed this, is what happens with estrogen dropping. It disrupts your gut microbiome, giving you dysbiosis, which is not a good thing. It's an imbalance in the gut bacteria. T4 to T3 is converted at your gut. GLP-1 is secreted at your gut naturally. But when this happens, inflammation is also going to occur, and both are going to be worsening insulin resistant inflammation and poor gut health. Okay. So how do we fix this? Talk about the array, the shitstorm that is menopause and how it's affecting your insulin resistance, but there's a couple ways you can actually fix it. Number one is strength training, right? 3 to 5 times per week. Someone just asked me on a live I did, they're like, should I do Pilates or should I do weightlifting? And I thought that was a really good question because from a coach's perspective, do what you enjoy first. Do whatever you're going to be consistent with for a month or two. If you're doing this on your own, if you're doing it with a coach, you could probably be like, do what you like for 1 to 4 weeks. Like kind of speed track that because you have the external accountability. But do what you want for the first, whether it's Pilates or weightlifting, and then slowly start optimizing that, right? And you could probably do both in a very optimal way as long as you just kind of have it structured in the right way. So definitely some strength training you want to do 3 to 5 times per week. Protein is going to go up from a baseline of 0.6 to 1.1 grams. It's the general recommendation. It's going to go up to a bottom of 0.8 to 1.1 grams. So you'll increase that by 0.2 for protein. After meals, to become more insulin sensitive and partition those meals and use it as energy instead of stored as fat. After you eat, go for a 10 to 15 minute walk. Really, really good way to do that. Really good way to increase more insulin sensitivity. Supplements, berberine. I don't know if you can say that. Berberine, phytosome. Phytosome is more bioavailable, 500 milligrams with meals, with three meals a day. You can take out 1,500 milligrams, so you can take 500 three times a day. Then that creates more insulin sensitivity. Magnesium glycinate and threonate are really good at really helping your cortisol, which is going to help your insulin sensitivity. N-acetylcysteine, which is going to help your liver, which will help insulin sensitivity. And then cinnamon, which actually has a direct effect on insulin sensitivity. Manage your stress. You have a mindfulness routine throughout the day that keeps stress levels low. Meditation, contrast showers, Epsom salt baths, cold plunges, anything that's going to elicit like a parasympathetic nervous system response where it kind of like chills you out. GABA, ashwagandha, and L-theanine are really good. Rhodiola rosea is really good. Ashwagandha is probably the most researched. It's been researched to decrease resting cortisol up to like 30%, which is actually very efficacious. I would make sure, I made another video on this, but definitely cycle your ashwagandha. So do 8 to 12 weeks on, followed by 2 to 4 weeks off. In the 8 to 12 weeks on, you can do the 300 to 600 milligrams. Some of the studies have been up to 1,200 milligrams. Whenever I take 1,200 milligrams, I get a fucking headache, and that's actually pretty normal for a side effect. And then improve your sleep. So obviously, anything you can do to create more of a rest and digest response so you can get more of the effects from you losing progesterone are going to be key. But definitely no electronics within 3 hours of bed, no caffeine right when you wake up, wait 90 minutes for that or an hour. Make sure you're doing some things to de-stress in the evening. Some chamomile tea you can take. Sleep supplements are great. I like Prestige Labs makes sleep multiplier. But that's kind of where to start. Menopause supplements. If you want my Costco or Whole Foods list, DM me on Instagram at Dylan A. Conrad. I will send that to you ASAP.